Xeodrifter is a pixel art side-scrolling Metroidvania game. You start out in space and your ship is hit by an asteroid and your warp core is knocked out. That's where the game starts. You have to go find the parts and the warp core. There's 4 planets that you have to travel between, getting upgrades for your character, and then eventually the big showdown for your warp core. It's a wonderful example of a Metroidvania style game. You are going to be traversing the same areas over and over again, and you'll constantly be seeing places that you know that later on you'll be able to get to, but you can't quite get to yet. The upgrade system in the game is really good. Health is self-explanatory, just gives you extra bubbles of health, but your gun points are really cool because you can mix and match as you see fit. You can make the bullets fire faster, or you can make them move faster. You can make them have more impact or fire in random directions. You can have them vibrate up and down as you fire, making it easier to hit enemies that aren't quite straight on with your gun. And each slot of your gun has 6 points that you get to fill, and you can do them in any order you want. I usually ended up with, I think, 6 in strength and then 2 in speed and 1 in vibration. If I'm remembering correctly. There doesn't feel like there's a right way to play. Everything seems viable, and I often found myself swapping out my main setup for something else depending on the situation. They even have multiple loadouts that you can use so that you can have full speed on one loadout and then full vibration on another, which lets you swap back and forth really quickly. It's really fun to experiment with the different point distributions, and I very much like the way that they allow you to upgrade yourself in this way. In addition to upgrading your gun, you're also going to be getting other abilities throughout the game. I'm not going to go into details on all of them, as I don't want to spoil too much for you, but the changes in traversal is a key mechanic in most Metroidvania games, and Xeodrifter does a great job at this. I think my favorite ability in the game is the ability for your character to move between the foreground and the background, and they use it to great effect in this game. There's a pretty good variety of enemies that you're going to run into, and you'll start to learn how best to deal with each type. The bosses, however, are all the same sprite, and I'm sure that it will bother some people, and it did actually bother me at first. But as you play, you realize that each boss layers new abilities on top of the old one. So the fights are different, even though they look the same. I think that Atui would have been better served to make the bosses look different. But in the end, the gameplay is great, and each fight felt like the boss was powering up as I was. Almost like the boss was out doing other stuff and getting its better abilities while I was doing the same thing. That would be a good sequel for this game, Xeodrifter 2, where you are the boss and you're going around getting different abilities. I think that'd be neat. I'm not going to drone on about how much I love the aesthetics in the game. You can see them for yourself in the video. I will say this, they nailed the old school vibe. I love the very, very super bright colors and the high contrast visuals that the game has. The game feels like it could have come out 20 years ago, and for me, that's a good thing. I always kind of like this style. The audio is chiptune music. It's really great. I looked for it on iTunes because I wanted to listen to it while I was cleaning the driveway out from the snowstorm, but it's not there. The sound effects are pretty good and nothing to write home about, but they're not bad. So I tried a couple different ways to play the game. I played with split Joy-Cons, I played with the Joy-Con grip, and I played with the Pro controller as well. And I think my favorite way to play was using the split Joy-Cons, where you've got one in each hand and they're separated. I really like the D-pad on the Joy-Cons, and I know I'm in a minority here, but I really do like it. Another reason why I love the Joy-Cons for this game is the HD rumble. They've done an amazing job with the HD rumble, and the HD rumble on the Joy-Cons is always so much better than on the Pro controller. I think that they use the same motor in both the Joy-Cons and the Pro controller, and because the Pro controller is bulkier, it just doesn't vibrate as much as the Joy-Cons do. All right, speaking of HD rumble, they did a great job on it. Every action that you take as a character, whether you're shooting or jumping or popping into the background of your submarine, you can tell what's happening from the Joy-Cons. When you're battling a boss, you can feel which side of the screen it's on from the rumble of the Joy-Cons. HD rumble is very well done in this game, and I really wish other developers took it as seriously as Atui did. It really does add to the game. I think it's fantastic. Xeodrifter is a shorter game, but it's a lot of fun. Of course, I didn't do everything. I finished the game, I think it said 88% complete, so there's still more stuff for me to go and find. But I've also never been someone who equates dollars spent to hours of gameplay. I just don't think that that's something that you need to really worry about. The real thing that you got to know is the game fun? And Xeodrifter is really fun. And that's what matters here. If you enjoy Metroidvania style games and you enjoy the old school aesthetic and gameplay, then I would say Xeodrifter is definitely something that you should consider picking up on the Switch. It's also available on a lot of other platforms, but I think the Switch is definitely the best place to take it because you can just take it out and do a little bit here and there, and it's really fun. Okay, Metroidvania games are one of my favorite genre of games. So I'm going to say that Xeodrifter is up there in the list of like my top 10 Metroidvania games of all time. I had so much fun with it. But what I want to know is not only what did you think of Xeodrifter, but what is your favorite Metroidvania game of all time? Make sure that you let me know. Also, make sure you check out my podcast. It's called Nintendo Switchcraft, and you can find it at runjumpstomp.com/listen. And of course, stop by the Twitch stream sometime and say hi. Take it easy. I'll see you next time.